Good afternoon. It is exactly 1 p.m. East African time on this Tuesday, the 13th day of June 2017. Welcome to News Desk. My name is Sophia Wanuna. We begin with the National Elections Conference officially began today here in Nairobi. The three-day conference brings together political leaders, civil society, religious leaders, media and Kenyans at large, and is intended to rally Kenyans toward a peaceful election. The areas to be covered at the conference include lessons learned from the previous election, conflict mitigation and dispute resolution, electoral operations as well as technology, role of the media, among other issues. The objective of the conference, the chairman, that is Chebukati, said is to boost the confidence of the electorate. The conference is jointly organized by IEBC, EACC, Kura Yangu and Sauti Yangu. All right, to get more details on that conference, our Rita Tinina has been following the same at the KICC. Rita, this conference is just coming 55 days to the general election. Tell us about the importance and significance of it.
Well, Sophia, a very crucial conference, as you mentioned. They are coming 55 days to the election, and four words have dominated the opening session this morning: free, fair, credible, and peaceful. Major issues coming up in the morning during this opening session. There were several people who spoke, giving their speeches, their concerns and issues ahead of the elections. There were speeches from the EACC chair, the IEBC chair, the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Chief Justice David Maraga, the NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga, Aiden Duale, who was representing President Uhuru Kenyatta. He was meant to be here. He was invited, but he could not make it. Remember, Uhuru is campaigning in the Rift Valley today. He will be in West Pokot. So his speech was read on his behalf by Eden Duale, and the conference was officially opened by a representative of the chair of the African Union Commission. Now, the messages that dominated the morning. There was a speech by the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Robert Godek, challenging political leaders to engage in peaceful campaigns. Also taking a swipe at the government, saying several officials are using public resources to campaign for the government, and says no action is being taken. So asking that the no criticism should be not followed by action. Some action should be taken against those who are engaging in campaigning for the Jubilee government. There is also the issues of the results after the elections. Robert Godek challenging, saying there will be losers, there will be winners, and challenging whoever loses in the polls to accept the results peacefully. But Raila Odinga raising major issues. His speech was focused on the ballot paper printing tender. This was a contract that was signed only on Thursday last week. The IEBC and the Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair signing the contract for the printing of ballot papers. The issue here is that Al Ghurair was the company that was initially awarded the tender when the IEBC went through the tendering process through open tender, but the opposition then called. The parties challenged that award of contract. They went to the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board. They later went to the High Court, and the High Court declared it null and void. The IEBC then went on to what they termed as the second option, which was restricted tendering. That too was nullified by the Public Procurement Review Administrative Board, and the IEBC then said it was now forced. It says it is facing time constraints and was forced to do direct procurement. So last week they signed that contract with Al Ghurair. So Raila Odinga saying the issue that the IEBC has issued that contract to Al Ghurair shows that the public will not have confidence in the first place in the IEBC, since the High Court declared that null and void. They had several issues with that company, the ones that made them to go to the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board and the High Court later on. So the IEBC saying those issues were not resolved in the first place, and the IEBC went ahead to issue the contract again to Al Ghurair through direct procurement. The IEBC yesterday, when the CEO appeared before the Parliamentary Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, explained why they decided to do direct procurement, saying if they were to go through the process of open tender, the time does not allow. The 55 days to the elections does not allow the IEBC to go through the process that would ensure that an open tender is issued again, saying that if they were to do that, then Kenyans will not have an election. Materials will not be ready by August the 8th. Yesterday, Parliament approved the 2.5 billion shillings. The Legal and Justice and Legal Affairs Committee approving that money. That amendment will be tabled before the floor of the House today. The issue here was that the IEBC saying that when they were signing the contract, they knew that the ballot papers would be delivered and they would have to pay upfront before the August polls. But now Al Ghurair wants payment beforehand. They say they are trying to minimize their risks. And since the IEBC, 2.5 billion shillings had been allocated in the 2017-2018 financial year, what they want is a reallocation, a budgetary reallocation to bring that money to the current financial year so that they can be able to pay for the ballot paper printing project. Those were the issues raised by Raila Odinga. The other issue was about the campaigning for the Jubilee government by public officials. We have seen cabinet secretaries, permanent secretaries joining President Uhuru Kenyatta in the campaign trail. And so Raila says that is not fair, saying the government is engaging in a game and playing as the referee at the same time. So saying something should be done, there should be a level playing field. Of course, Eden Duale, who read the president's speech, has defended the IEBC, saying that it should be allowed to conduct its work. Sophia.
All right, Rita, before I let you go very quickly, talk to us about, so Raila says that the NASA flag bearer, that they don't have confidence in this company that has been given the tender to print the ballot papers. That's Al Ghurair, saying that Kenyans will go to the election without much confidence in the same. So what recourse are they seeking before the election? How do you get into a process you don't already trust, just then after that to fall to the same if things don't work out?
Well, that is the concern he raised. The time constraints, the IEBC saying yesterday there isn't much they can do, but the NASA flag bearer rather is saying that in the first place, as they approach the elections, when they are talking about credible, free and fair elections, the fact that Al Ghurair has been issued this contract really minimizes the level of confidence in the IEBC by the public, by the opposition as well. And the issues he noted here is he claims that Al Ghurair is associated with senior Jubilee officials. He said the company last year hosted Jubilee officials in Dubai, and last year as well there are officials who came, a delegation of officials from Al Ghurair came to Kenya, and they were also hosted by senior government officials. So he's arguing that when IEBC issued the contract initially in the first place, they had already made up their mind that it was Al Ghurair, and even after the petitions and the challenge that was given to the awarding of contract, they have gone back and issued the contract to Al Ghurair, meaning that they had their mind set, this is the company they wanted. And so perhaps it was just a process to show the public that we are doing something, but they had in mind what they wanted. That is according to Raila Odinga. Sophia.
All right, many thanks, Rita Tinina, live for us from the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where that National Elections Conference is taking place.